Uh-oh.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the CC Navigate Help Signs training on automated actions, or automations, as I like to call them. I think it's funny because EAB named the feature automated actions, and then everywhere else in the world they call it automations. But that's par for the course. All right. We're going to work through this. And before we get started, I wanted to share a couple of things with you. Rebecca, while I'm talking, can you let people in? So the first thing I wanted to share with you is just, many of you know this, but if you want help on Navigate, the best thing to do is use our email account, which is navigatehelp@ccny.cuny.edu. And the reason for that is this way, both Rebecca and I will get the email, and we can one of us will respond usually within 24 hours, very often the same business day. But this way it gets to both of us, not just to me, not just to Rebecca, and then we can consult on things more easily if we need to. We also have the website, which I'm going to share because we have added a new feature that may be new to everyone. We've added a tab for support and training. And the reason we're doing that is this way, I didn't want to have to update 3 different versions of that, but also I've added this feature spotlights. And we're going to add the recordings for all of these trainings here. And there will be another training later in May, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I'm looking at May 23rd, but we'll have a conversation about that together because I know it's a busy time for everyone. But we'll see. I also wanted to introduce Rebecca because there's probably some folks that don't know who Rebecca is. Rebecca, would you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Rebecca Mbetse, formerly Laguerre. I recently got married, so I have a last name change. I am the Student Success and Retention Technology Coordinator with the Office of Student Engagement, and I work with the student-facing, staff-facing, and faculty-facing side of Navigate.
Rebecca is in charge of the Navigate student platform, pretty much. She manages that and manages all of the parts of that and the configurations, and she's done an amazing job of it. And because basically, before she came on board, I did what I could with it, but Rebecca was able to invest a lot of time in it, so it was very, very helpful. So that was nice. Okay. So I am going to just quickly, automated actions, automations, what are they? They're a really cool feature that allows you to set something up, basically a saved search or a saved report that will run as often as you would like. The options are daily, weekly, or monthly. And there are a variety of things that you can do with these automations. And you can send a message, you can add students to a campaign, you can issue a notification, so you can use it for referrals, automatically to different offices if we wanted to, or different notifications. But the really neat part of it is adding to campaigns and sending messages. I have in the Office of Student Engagement account probably 8 or 9 of them running on a variety of things. So I have 4 or 5 of them running for new students, reminding students about Benny's tools. Just started one looking for matriculated students who do not have an advising appointment, reminding them that they may want to do that, that they should set up an advising appointment. I have one running for current students, actually current and new students, once they are enrolled for fall, to check their degree works to see if they have any, I always forget the term that's used in there, the electives that don't work for anything, so that they need to think about a different class. And they're told to get in touch with their advisor. I also have have a couple of them running to remind students to do the FAFSA. So I have one that looks for students that are enrolled this semester, had a FAFSA for this year, are enrolled for the fall, but don't have a FAFSA filed. And so reminding them to do a FAFSA and giving them the links and the information for financial aid and all of the workshops they're doing. So those are going out on a regular basis. They're really, really helpful. And honestly, and adding students to campaigns is fantastic, because one of the drawbacks of a campaign was once you set it up, you couldn't add anybody to it. And now you can set up a campaign that's a little bit longer in status, that will run longer. And then you can add students as they qualify for whatever the group was. And that's the thing to remember about an automation. It's looking for a cohort of students, and it will do whatever you want once a student qualifies for that cohort. So whether it's students that are advised by Ray. So, as assignments are made, and I understand we don't do that, Ray, I'm just saying we could. As students are assigned to Ray, they get a message saying, "Hey, I'm Ray. I'm your advisor. Welcome to hell. Welcome to City College." Sorry. That's what an automation is doing, is it's running the search, running the report, and so it's looking for new students who qualify for, that will be included, and then doing whatever you want for that. They're really, really helpful. There are two ways to get to them that I'm going to show you right now. The first way is just go to your lists and saved items page. On the left-hand column, the bullet point list. And so you'll see your student lists, saved searches, saved reports, and then your automations are down here. And then you can just add a new automation by clicking that button. The other way to do it is, if you're going to do it from a report, you should go to reporting. When the V3 reporting screen comes up, you can do my report automations. I don't have any, and you can add an automation from here. So that's the two ways to get to add a new automation. Okay, I'm going to pass this off to Rebecca, who's going to run through the process for us of creating an automation.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. So what you'll do, as Dominic basically just showed, you'll access your automations first. So I'm going to go to lists and saved items. And then here you can see your list of saved searches and your list of saved reports. And then when you scroll down, there's the automations box. As it mentions, automations can run based off of your saved searches or specifically V3 reports. So they don't work for V2 reports, but they do work for V3 reports. So what I'm going to do is click New Automation. And that's what you'll do if you're trying to run an automation. And this is the screen that will show up for you. So the first thing that you'll do is you'll put in the name of your automation based off of what you want to run it for. Then beneath that name, there's automation is active. So if you want the automation to run as soon as you set it up, you will check that it is active. However, if you want to just leave it on standby, use it at a later date, you can unclick it, and then it will no longer be active until you check that box again, and then it will start running. Below that, there's automation configuration. So you'll pick from first the criteria. So you can either pick from your saved search list or your saved reports list. So let's say I choose fall 2023 enrollment. This would be a saved search that I did. All the students that fit that criteria, you can then take a few actions. So you can choose to send them messages, issue notifications on those students, or add them to any of the campaigns that exist. So add them to an appointment campaign, messaging campaign, etc.
Just a point here, and I apologize, Rebecca. This list will show you only the options that you have based on your roles. All of you should have the ability to do notifications and send messages and an appointment campaign and a messaging campaign. Some of the other campaigns you may not have access to. So if it looks different, it's by design.
Thanks. So then if you pick send message, you'll create the message. If you select issue a notification, you'll select which notification you want to automate for those students and so forth. If it's a campaign, you'll pick which campaign you want them to be a part of. Then beneath the take action drawer, there's this box called omit initial matches. So let's say that your fall 2023 enrollment search already has 5 students included in there. If you don't want these actions to go to those already 5 qualified students for any reason, if you click omit initial matches, the action that you pick will not go towards those 5 students. What the action will do is go towards the next qualified batch of students when the automation runs, whether it's the next week, however you set it up. So it will go to the next batch of students, if that makes sense. Then beneath the configuration, once that's all set up, you can then schedule your automation. So you can choose what start date and end date you want this automation to run for and the frequency. So you can choose to do a daily, weekly, or monthly search for new matches that qualify for your search or report, and what time you want the automation to go out to. So I want to send a message to this group of students every week. If that's what you want to do, that's what you would configure. And then lastly, on the bottom, you would just click save automation, and that would be it. I haven't filled out all the information, so, but once you once you do that, it will show up on your, when you go to save list, either in this automations page, or if it's in reports, it will also show up as Dominic showed you in the V3 report section in my report automations. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Here in my report automations. So that
Before we, oh, sorry.
I was just saying that's the process.
Okay. Before we get into examples that I'm going to show, are there any questions? That was a quick run through. Go ahead, Norval.
So, I'm sorry if I'm being dense, but are we using automations just like for any kind of action, or is it specifically for like sending out emails? Was it like for doing, are we using it to do searches, or are we using it for variety of actions or specific?
What the automations does is it will run a search for you according to the schedule you set up. However, what happens when that happens is limited. The one thing they didn't set this up for was adding students to a student list. So that would be helpful for a lot of people. And we've asked for that, and supposedly they're working on it. Because a student list, then you can go in and do a lot of things off of that, or just know who's on that list. The idea of an automated action is so that if you wanted to send, I mean, those basically 3 actions that you're able to do: send a message, add a notification to a student, which also usually sends messages or opens cases and things like that, or add students to a campaign, so that you don't have to run a new campaign. You don't have to go and manually send a message to a group of students or run a search on students and then remember who you already sent it to. If you want to send a message to a group of students and that group of students may grow and you want to send that message, the same message all the time to everybody, then you wouldn't want to use an automated action. Because what it's doing is it's looking for students who are new to the cohort. So as I said, so if you want to, students who have not made an advising appointment. So that's one of the ones that I have, is that I'm sending a message to students who have matriculated but haven't made an advising appointment. Once they make an advising appointment, they no longer qualify, right? That's a bad example. It's actually not how it works. But basically, it's looking for students who are new to your cohort and then doing something for those students.
Would it work, for example, just for example, for something like the chess club?
What are you looking for?
Like if I wanted to send a message to chess club students who still hadn't signed up for the next tournament.
We'd have to do some logistical, some some logic gymnastics in Navigate. But yes, we would have to come up with a tag that says signed up. But the thing is, it's only going to send it out. It's only going to send to students once. That's the, I don't want to say it's a drawback, but it's a limitation of automated actions. This is not, if you want to send out an email every week to students that are on a list, that it will send things out once. Hey, we noticed you haven't signed up. And then you add somebody to the group, they haven't signed up, they'll get the message.
So like when you mentioned campaigns, you and Rebecca talked about campaigns, like, so that would be an example of that. Like if we wanted to reach out to, like, what if I want to send a message to all students who haven't submitted their AP scores?
I would do that on a messaging campaign. And then you can send
Right.
several messages or several emails to them and nudges. You would use a campaign. Now, if you wanted to do that and then say we admitted a bunch of students in the middle of the summer and you want to check for them, then you could use the automation to add them to the campaign. And I have an example of showing you that later on.
Okay.
But yes, if you wanted to send multiple messages, you would use the messaging campaign to do the messaging, but you could use an automation to add someone to the campaign if the cohort was going to grow.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
just trying to come up with some, other
let me do the example.
Okay.
I have 3 examples I'm going to show you. And so hopefully that will help. And then we can have a discussion afterwards because we're pretty good on time so far. Did everyone get the omit initial
matches?
Thank you. I couldn't remember the word and I couldn't find it on my sheet here. So did everyone get that? I think Rebecca did a good job, but it's kind of an important thing with this feature. So, okay, great. All right, so let me share my screen and we will show the example. So oh, here they are. Okay. So my first saved search is looking for new ISS students, so new international students. And so the search basically is looking for anyone with the ISS category. But I know that the School of Medicine takes care of their own international students. That's not the case, but I just needed an example. So I'm I have not in that. So basically anyone who's in the School of Medicine will not be part of my results. And then because I'm looking for new students, I've omitted a bunch of enrollment terms. So anyone who was enrolled before fall, and I went back a couple of years, will not be included in this search. So right now I have 132 students. That's great. Okay, so let's go to the automation. And I'm doing this in the training site so I can send out automations and no one will get emails except for one of our accounts. We're giving it a name, make it active. I'm going to choose my search, and then I'm going to send a message. I am not going to omit the initial searches because I want it to go to those folks. I'm going to send an email. And luckily, I don't have to type because I already did one before. If you've done emails in Navigate before, you will be very upset with this editor. It's even an even more pared down editor than already exists in other parts of the site. You can add the merge tags if you wanted to, so you can do recipient's first name, so they'll get it. We're just going to run this for a couple of days. I'll run it daily, and I want it to run at 10 a.m. And that's really all you got to do. But what we'll do is I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to open it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to generate the queue run. This basically I'm forcing it to do this rather than doing it tomorrow morning at 10. Okay, it's not going to do it right now, but once it does it, it will tell me that they found 132 matches. And then what will happen is the next day, it'll run it again and send the same message to the new folks if it found anybody. Something like this I could run monthly because it's not super pressing, and we're probably not going to add international students every day. But this way it will catch them. Okay. And when you come back here, and I'll show you examples of searches that are already running in a minute, you will get to see every time it runs, you'll see a line. I'll show you what I have running here. So these are all the automations I have running out of OSC. Oh, not that one. That's new. Sorry. So this has gone out to 6,572 students. It's a non-contributory class reminder. I have one for texts and one for emails because you can only do one or the other. But you'll see here, so the initial one went out to 5,400 students. And then after that, it catches all the new students that have registered every day. And I can see how many that is every day. If I click on this, it will show me a list of all of the students who have been contacted. So when they say, I never got that message, yeah, you did. And so this is the screen of what it looks like. And it's really helpful. So and it's telling me this will go out later on tonight, because I know it's going out at 6 o'clock every night. So it's getting ready to do the search. Okay. Any questions about that? This is one of the things where I feel like I want to do training, but when I show it to people, it's kind of simple and fairly intuitive, but only when you see somebody else do it. I'm going to jump to the campaign example because I think that that's going to be helpful. So I have a messaging campaign. Oh, okay. All right, you know what? I'm just going to set it up because I thought I did it here, but I didn't. So, in a messaging campaign, you could put a tracking a URL that it would track. I'm not going to do that here. So I'm looking for all students who are in school, the Colin Powell School. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to add one student to this campaign right now, and that's going to be me. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do that. Because I don't want to send it out to everybody that's already in Colin Powell. This is going to be a welcome message to the school, right? So, oops, I got to do this. Sorry, I'm screwing this up. Now, when you're doing a campaign and you want to add students to it, there is a little bit of a hurdle you have to run. You want to add a welcome message, and you have to set one up, and the welcome message will only run on your initial group of students on the day that you start the campaign. But we want to set this up so that I can add students to it, and it will go out when the students are added to the group. So this is going to be my welcome email. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to save it. But I want to be able to send the same message to students as they're added to Colin Powell, right? So I'm going to set it up as a nudge. I'm going to set it up as basically giving them the same information spelled correctly. But what I'm going to do, instead of choosing a specific date, I'm going to choose relative date. So basically, I can choose the number of days after a student is added to the campaign that this goes out. So I'm going to set it for 1. I can set it for 5, for whatever your reasoning would be. But if I'm just wanting to send every student that is adds a major or is matriculated into the school, I can do it for 1 day after they're added. And then I can save that. And then I can add other nudges that I can either send out on specific days or on relative days. The way I've set this up, I didn't really have anybody in the campaign to start with. So I would do all of my nudges on relative days so that's as students are added. So if I wanted to say, have another nudge saying, hey, we welcomed you. We really want you to sign up for an appointment. Or we really want you to sign up for our newsletter. So I want that to go out 20 days after somebody was added to the school. So I can set things up throughout the summer for them or whatever it is. And so we're going to continue, and I'm going to start the campaign. So now the campaign is started. I want to go to my automations, and I'm going to do a new automation. Oh, I have to set up a, I'm going to do a quick search. Now, remember to do this, you have to save your search. All right, so I'm going to go to the automations. And then I'm going to add them to a messaging campaign. Which campaign? The auto test. I'm not going to omit the initial matches because I want it to go to everybody. I can preview the campaign if I wanted to, but since I just set it up, I don't need to. I am only going to send this. Okay. And it will then, yeah, I can't do it. And it will run. And then so what it'll do is it at 5 o'clock, it's going to run the search. It's going to pick everybody in Colin Powell. I should have, actually what I should have done. I am going to click omit because I don't want everybody. It's not letting me do it because it already set it up. All right, well, I messed that up. So for this, I would have omitted the initial matches, but
Dominic, you're omitting them because supposedly you have already sent the campaign and those students have received the message.
no, because I only want to send it to students who are new to the school.
But that's what I'm saying. If you didn't send the campaign, the
But
students who were, let's say, today eligible, but you're not sending the campaign until tomorrow.
no, because right now it'll send me all 6,000 students that are already in Colin Powell.
I got it. Okay.
So I want anybody starting tonight, starting tomorrow, whatever, that's added tomorrow. So anybody who declares a major starting tomorrow or is admitted tomorrow, they'll get it. So it'll be like 5 or 6 students.
But let's say we are currently in the process of, yes, welcoming new students. So what if those new students were not yet contacted in any way? So they're relatively new as of, let's say, 2 weeks ago, but they haven't received anything yet. And we're just now setting this automation.
Right.
How do we include those 2 weeks of students that have not received anything and any future students who qualify for that group?
You would change, you would have a better search than I did. I just chose all. What I would do is I would choose Colin Powell students who are newly admitted freshmen and are matriculated.
Got it.
So then that's the smaller group that you want, and you would want to send the email to your initial matches. So you wouldn't click that thing. You're exactly right. So that you would get all of those folks, and then as people came in, you would add them. I just did a very general search. So it depends on how you set up your initial searches. have I totally baffled everybody? Well, start that way now. All right. Norval, what are your questions?
I mean, oh, wait, am I?
No, you're good.
I mean, I'm trying to get a feel for under what circumstances would it be advantageous to use this process for whatever, for my particular.
So for you, say we had a way of getting
areas of interest.
So say we had a way of in Navigate identifying students whose transfer credit evaluations have been posted. And we could do that. We could create a category fairly easily. We'd have to figure out what the logic behind the category is, but I'm sure there's something in CUNY First that says things are posted. So we could get that. So once a new student gets that category, that transfer credit evaluation is posted, say you want to send them an email. Hey, your evaluation has been posted. Please look at it here on CUNY First.
So I think, so when an evaluator completes an evaluation, they indicate that in Connect, and I believe that it does show up on their My City page. However, obviously they would have to be proactive about going to their My City page.
And so this could be, we could send them a text nudge saying, hey, go to your My City page. Things have changed.
Okay. Right. Instead of like
assuming they're going to do it regularly because they're good students.
Right. Go to your My City page to see your evaluation status and to see who your evaluator is, so that don't bother me. Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense. So that could be automated. So are you saying that could be automated so it just does that regularly without?
Yep, you could have it run once a week. If you know your evaluators end up posting mostly on Thursdays or Fridays, you can have it sent out Saturday morning. Or you can do it daily. Whatever's best for you.
Weekly is fine, but that's what I'm asking. Is that this would do it? Would send it out on a regular basis?
We just need to make sure that we have a category that's showing whatever you want. But yes, once the data is in Navigate, you can set up the automation. And I mean, all of these that I showed you, I used to do all these manually every week. Rebecca and I used to do all of these, and it's a pain in the neck. It took way more time. Even with the save search, I would have to go in, run the search, eliminate everybody from last time. Sorry.
So provide some other examples, just without showing, just like what kinds of things would you be doing that for? Like what kind of?
Well, I mean, for example, we have our College Connect office program does drop-in hours for new students with peer leaders. Every time a new student gets matriculated, I send them an email. I send them a text message saying, hey, got questions? Go talk to our peer leader. And here's the times. And and these run all summer. So that's one example.
You have to do it manually every time. You're saying
I did have to. Now I don't.
Okay.
I used to run a report every week that looked for students who didn't have an advising appointment that had been matriculated. And I would send them an email. Now I do it here, and it goes to them. Now, granted, they're only going to get this once, whereas the last when I did it manually, they would get it all the time. I could set it up into a messaging campaign and do that, but I don't want to over send emails to new students either, because they get angry. So
Yeah.
sending it the once is good. And it's a nudge, and they're also getting emails from Connect, and so all sorts of things. So those are things that I used to do manually. Does
Okay.
that help?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I feel like I, I feel like if we could, we should have a conversation with Carlos
Mhm.
to see if how this could work in concert with what he already does in Connect, and or if this would be better for some things than what we already do
Yeah.
in Connect.
Absolutely. But Connect is like sort of running a messaging campaign. It'll keep sending to the same people. Though you can in Connect, if somebody does make an advising appointment, they won't get the next message. In here, it's hard to get somebody out of a campaign. So that's the next step. We've asked that as well. Melissa and then Irina.
Dominic, in the similar thread, I have a question in regards to the automation feature and notifying us as staff who has actually completed that action item. So for instance, if you are in the College Connect example, asking students to meet with a peer leader, are we then notified who fulfilled that requirement?
Now you're asking for crazy stuff.
Um,
You're not wrong. No, you're not wrong.
okay.
There could be a way to do that, but it would be not part of the automation so much as we would have to set up a notification that the College Connect team could post no, we couldn't do that with a notification. They would have to send an email. I'd have to figure it out. There's probably a way to do it that I'm not thinking of right now. You got me on the spot. But we can figure it out. But but that's one of the things. If, for instance, we did a messaging campaign and we included a URL, say you wanted everyone to go to this website, we could track how many people have gone to the website, but I can't tell you who. That's one of the limitations of Navigate, and we've asked them to change that as well. But that is one of the limitations. The only difference is if we do run an enrollment campaign where we're looking for students who haven't enrolled for the next semester, I can tell you who has enrolled and who hasn't. And they actually will get an email saying, hey, you enrolled, thank you very much. And what I do on that one, an enrollment campaign, is okay, now that you've enrolled, go look at your degree works. So those sorts of things. Marina.
Along the line of, conceptualizing when to use the feature, the example that you showed us, that you set up initially the campaign and then you automated it, what's the difference when you set it that way versus setting it up just from scratch and automation and putting the message there?
With a messaging campaign, I can do multiple messages. So I can set up a series of messages to go out as nudges. So I could there could be 6 in the campaign. And with the automation, remember when I identified it saying go send this message 10 days after the student's added. So this way they can get all 6 of those messages. It'll just be based on when they qualified. If I do it just through the automation, they're going to get it once.
I got it.
And you could do that with an appointment campaign. You can add people to appointment campaigns too as well. So yeah, it is very much, you have to get used to all of the features and understand how they interact with each other.
Now, if I go to any of my students and under, what was the tab, something history or something, can I still see the automation messages that they have received from other staff like you, for example?
You would go to the Conversations
Yeah,
tab.
Conversations tab, yeah.
Rebecca, check me on this. The campaign messages are now being shown in the Conversations tab. I don't know about the automations. I would think so. Let me give me a second. Let's see. So what I did is I just went to one of my automations. I clicked on the number in the middle of everyone who's gotten an automation message, and now I'm going to go to that student's profile and see if I see the information there. Yes, they're here. I'm glad they are. When you go to the Conversations tabs now, to get everything, you have to click this Clear Sorts and Filters, because what it's showing initially is only emails sent by that person or messages sent by that person or to that person. But you have to click that to see everything. They've added everything in here, but for some reason it doesn't come up right away. You have to click this little clearing mechanism. And you'll see they're getting all of this information about financial aid. And these are all of my automations because I've got a couple of things going out from, this is about the FAFSA Fridays. So there's a bunch of things. They've gotten some emails from Student Life. So. Okay. Are there any other questions about automations? Go into the training site and play. And feel free to send as many as you'd like in the training site. And set up a couple of campaigns, set up searches and reports and play around with it. And it gets a lot easier once you use it. And it starts making a lot more sense. And you'll start thinking of different ways you could use it. That's how I have 10 of them now. And certainly rely on us for help. And if you want to bounce something out, like I want to do this, I should be able to do it, and I can't figure out how to build my search correctly or how to build the campaign correctly, let us know and we'll help. I do have a quick question. Rebecca put the training and support site in the chat for everybody. We're trying to figure out what's next in terms of training. Is there anything that anyone in this group would like to see us do a training on? I was thinking about a refresher on advanced search. And one of the things I'm trying to create before I do something like that is a data dictionary on the categories. So everybody knows what all the categories mean and what they show. I've gotten the full list. It's just going to take me a little bit to go through it all because there's a lot of repeats. But I don't know what makes sense for you all. We will do something later in the summer on 2 new features. Well, not new, but new to us. One is surveys. We can send surveys out through Navigate. And honestly, Rebecca and I have to learn it before we train you on it. And then the other one is the same situation where we have to become more familiar with it, is we can set up basically customer service surveys after appointments. So if when students come in for an appointment, you can send them a survey, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be, did you like it? Just, what other questions do you have, or whatever. And then we can, that information goes into the student's profile, and you can look at it there, and you can run reports on it, and see what questions students are asking, or what they didn't understand, or what's still confusing. So we can evaluate our advising. And then, unlike the appointment summary forms, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. So, you Ray could set up a survey, a post-appointment survey for new freshman advising that is different from what is done in for new freshman advising in the Honor Center or in Colin Powell because it's based on the service and the location. And so that's how those surveys are formulated and sent out. And then you can send it to every student once the appointment's finished. You can send it 2 days after the appointment's finished, however you would like it. So we're learning a little bit more about that before we set up a training, but we'll do that later in the summer. I'm hoping to get that instituted for everybody for the fall. At least for, when we start doing advising month kind of activities.
We're about to send, or we just started sending it. We have a senior exit survey to our students, and we're doing it through forms right now. But I guess this would potentially be a good way of storing data.
And it would be associated with a student, and then you could report on it.
Lovely.
To put it all together.
So it won't be, hopefully, there's not going to be a limit how many questions, what format those questions are, whether it's, bullet.
I want to say no, that there isn't a limit, but there probably is, but I don't think anyone's hit it yet. So it's probably, like something ridiculous, like 100 questions.
Oh, no,
but you would never want to do that. But I like I said, I think that there is a limit, but I don't think that they've worried about telling us what it is because it's a fantastically ridiculous number. And I don't know if there's branching logic, Irina, but there might be.
Oh, yes.
I know. I know that was going to make you happy.
Yeah, forms is not very nimble in that respect.
No. I know. I thought that it did it, and I tried to change a form yesterday. I'm like, oh, you're still in the Stone Ages. Okay. But I think there is branching logic to a degree. But Rebecca and I have not delved into this, so I don't want to speak out of school. All right, so we're at time. So basically what I'll do, I'll send a follow-up email to everyone asking what, topic, if there's anything that you would like to see a training on. If not, we'll figure something out and put something together. And then we'll put a couple things together for over the summer. And, don't worry about if you can't make it, that's fine. We're going to post everything. We're going to post the recordings on the training and support site. Thank you all for coming, for spending your very warm afternoon with us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Everyone, take care.